Um, Guess who stayed home from work today because they were sick? This guy. So I've been in bed all day and I had soup and tea and basically there's a fly from when I had my window open. Basically, yeah, I just haven't done anything. So I just feel like my first two vlogs for Veda are just gonna be so boring. So I'm really sorry about that. But I did think you guys could watch me straighten my hair and listen to me ramble about topics. So I kind of have a topic I want to talk about, but at the same time, I'm really sick, and so I'm afraid that I'm probably not thinking coherent enough to be very eloquent about it. So I'll probably, sorry, do I have a clip for this? Where are my clips? What's going on? Ugh. Sorry. I'll probably try to ramble about the topic that I want to talk about. And then later, if I feel like, when I watch it, if I feel like I didn't really do it justice, maybe later I'll make a sit-down video about it and like sort of write notes about what I want to say and how I feel about it. So you guys can like comment and say like, that was useful, or be like, no, you should sit down and say what you know, give it another try. Because I can already tell that like my brain is, do you want to unlock? Oh my god. But yeah, so yeah, and I'm trying to like straighten my hair and not die. I don't know how this is gonna work out. So yeah, okay. So I have a Tumblr. I'm not gonna give y'all my Tumblr because it's real reckless. But no, that was a terrible idea. I'm already failing at this. I'm just so out of it. Anyway, I have a Tumblr, and a lot of interesting topics come up on my Tumblr, or it makes me think of like a lot of interesting things. And there's a topic that comes up a lot on my feed anyway, are porn blogs. So my Tumblr is really social justice-y, but I also have a lot of people that it's really also sex positive. So there's this like weird line between sex positivity and like being oversexed, or like being when you're hypersexual to the point where you're not being sex positive anymore, if that makes any sense. And so, you know, basically there's like for a lot of girls that are on Tumblr, if you talk about sex at all, porn bots will follow you, right? And there's a lot of people that are super annoyed by this, right? Because like it's a bot. It's not even a person. Like it's annoying enough when a person who runs a porn blog follows you and without your consent. But when a bot does it, it's like this is just a computer that has found you and is like trying to make itself more legitimate by following a legitimate blog, right? That's a whole other tangent. I'm not going to go into that and get all nerdy or technical about like how porn bots work, because I'm actually talking more about porn blogs and like that. My tangent is more on that. So anyway, hypersexualization. So I'm more thinking along the lines of people of color, because that's like my concern as a person of color, and it's my concern as someone who's pansexual, because this is something I'm more so thinking in terms of men of color, specifically black men. And I think the reason I have the perspective I have on this is because like I stopped dating men for like over 10 years and I only dated women. And so coming back into dealing with men, I don't have the same tolerance, or I don't think the same things are normal that most women think are normal dealing with men. And so like I feel like I have a different perspective on things just because I'm like, oh, this is normal. This is what's been happening while I've been out here dating girls and like being completely not exposed to this world. And so I have a lot of guy friends, and I know that they like are into porn, and like I don't think there's anything wrong with porn, especially if it's like sex positive porn, or if it's like porn that's like, gives agency to the people who are doing it. But the porn industry, of course, is like really screwed up right now because there's so much free porn, and people talk a lot about like Pornhub and like how it's like sort of just like making it really hard for people who in the industry to make a living off of it anymore. And it was already kind of hard, right? Like a lot of girls get taken advantage of or don't make money in the industry, and it's like really predatory at times. And so like being able to have safe practices around porn is really important, and like really what you want, like, because like sex positivity is great, and I'm not at all prudish. I think that, you know, people should be able to express themselves however they want. I think sex workers should you know, also have rights and things like that. And I think that the only thing wrong right now with how we deal with sex, and especially when it comes to that kind of stuff, is that we treat it very taboo, and then we treat it like it's not going to happen anyway. Like, it's going to happen. People are still going to do it. So, like, you know, legalize it and make it safe for the people that are doing it so that people can't be taken advantage of as easily. You know, same thing like with abortion or drugs. Like, you know, making things illegal does not make them go away. It makes them more popular, if anything. So, like, you're not going to stop anybody from doing what they want to do. Just regulate that shit so that it can be as safe as possible. Anyway, that's not my tangent either. I told you guys I'm not going to be able to make a lot of sense because I'm sick. Anyway, my point is, now that I am interacting with men more, and now that I see all these porn blogs, and the people that are on the porn blogs, and the people that reblog the porn blogs, and the people that run the porn blogs, I've noticed that there's just like an insane saturation of porn and images, and like the disembodiment of humans into body parts and into sexual acts, which I think is so fascinating, because it's like insane, like just like the quantities that people are consuming of this material. And for me, like, I have friends that I follow on Tumblr that are great, but like there are periods of time when their blogs get super NSFW, right? And they like have warnings and disclaimers. But like when their blogs are in those hours, usually it's like, you know, ideally during safe, you know, hours, like when people are asleep, they're like, oh, you know, between these, you know, booty call hours, my blog is NSFW. Cool. But a lot of times that bleeds out into like workday hours, and it's like I can't even go on my Tumblr during the day. And so what I will notice if I happen to be up late and on Tumblr, because I have insomnia, I'll see that they're just posting insane amounts, back to back to back to back. Porn, naked girls, more porn, body parts. And I'm just like, yo, like, I just don't understand how after a certain point, seeing that much content day in and day out doesn't like sort of fuck with like your sex drive and your ability to have relationships if that's something you want, or even your ability to have sexual relationships if you're not interested in having a real relationship with somebody. Like, just to have that much stimulation and be looking at that high of a quantity of different bodies and people engaging in sex night after night after night, day after day after day, and just to be that overstimulated over time, like, just seems like eventually it would become harder and harder for you to make a connection one-on-one if that's what you're interested in. And like, I'm not even into monogamy personally, so I'm not saying that people have to be monogamous, but if you are the type that wants monogamy and you're consuming this amount of porn, and it's like the types of porn that people are watching, like, how can you just like be booed up and having regular sex with one person when all you're consuming is like this insane amount of material that's just everybody having sex with everybody over and over again, and all these different insane escalating situations of like fantasy just getting more and more blown out of proportion, right? And like, I think of it as, I think what surprises me more than anything about it is I consider myself a super sexual person. Like, I consider myself polyamorous, even though I haven't actually engaged in that, because most of the people I've been with prefer monogamy. and I'm pansexual. So I'm like, I'm pretty open, I'm pretty sexual, but like, I cannot imagine consuming the quantities of the people that I know that are not pansexual or polyamorous. So I'm like, if regular straight men are consuming this much of material, like, at what point do they just like start to have a hard time like having normal relationships with their partners? And like, how do you still see your partner as a normal, fully actualized human being when like all of the porn that you blog is like disembodied people, right? Like, because that's the other thing. It's a lot of the porn that I see people reblogging is like not even full humans, right? Like, it's just like ass is shaking for like 20 reblogs, and then like nothing but like people playing with their pussy for another 20 blog. Like, and I'm just like, oh, like those belong to a human that has a personality and feelings. Like, it just like blows my mind, because it's like, yeah, no, I love sex as much as the next person. Like, I can engage in like meaningless sex with people, but like at the same time, like I still also acknowledge that those people are still human beings, like full human beings with thoughts and feelings, and like maybe I would like them or maybe I wouldn't, but like, I don't know. Like, eventually I'm at the age where it's like, even if I don't want to be with you or talk to you, you still got to be a decent person for me to like engage with you sexually at this point in my life. And so like, the fact that it doesn't even matter and nobody even cares that what kind of people that, you know, they're reblogging, and like the comments that I see on the people that are being reblogged, and like the threesomes and the foursomes and the gangbangs and the this and the that, and the conversations I've had with people about like what what they're into and what they're like, I'm just like, okay. And then I know people that like have reached a point, because they've consumed so much porn, it's actually much harder for them to become aroused, because they have, you know, they've oversaturated themselves, they've overstimulated themselves, and so like they literally just like have, you know, I think it's like a low-key version of like when you go into being an addict, like a sex addict, and you have to detox off of it. But like, nobody's been taught that, right? Like, that's usually for an extreme situation, right? Like, that's usually if someone's like a nymphomaniac, I guess. Is that what it is? Yeah, I think that's like if you are some kind of like actual sex addict and you're doing crazy things for sex, right? But not if you're just low-key watching too much porn and having a harder and harder time engaging sexually with real human beings because you... When did you stop? Cool. So my camera died on me because it's a hater. Sorry. And I was saying some good, at the end I made some good points, man, and you know, my brain is not here, so I don't know, I'm not gonna be able to make them again. But where it cut off is sort of, okay, I'm just gonna make this real succinct. I'm real mad that it died because I got real into it and it was real good, but like, if you guys want me to go into like a more in-depth video on this later, I can. So basically, I think that unfortunately, because we live in a time where, unless you're like in a special circumstance where you would be in an extreme enough case where someone would send you to a sex therapist, because we're not in that, because people aren't in their everyday life exposed to that type of a situation, people don't know what to do when they are overstimulated and get into these extreme cases where they're slowly escalating, right? So you have all this exposure to all this material, and you're just constantly stimulating yourself and getting more and more worked up over time, and then like the things that used to work for you just don't work for you anymore. And so like, and not to say porn isn't in any way a new thing, and people have always done porn, but I feel like it's like with anything, right? Like everything is more saturated now for us because we have an insane amount of access. You can access it on your phone. You can access it on your computer. You can access it on your TV. Like, it's just like the ability to have access to things at the touch of a hand 24/7 is unheard of, I think, to humans. If you think anything, if you even think 10 years ago. So while everyone, you know, while there's always been people that were addicted to porn, like at least like there were times when they had to like not be actively engaging in it, right? But like that's not true today. You can go in the bathroom and pull up porn on your phone. Like, so I think that I'm not going to be able to be as eloquent as I was. I was on a tangent, damn it. I think that there are people, and I know people like this, that whatever used to work for them, regular porn, and I say like, and I say this like with full irony and full quotations because I am not trying to kink shame or say any type of sex is more or less appropriate or what is normal, right? Like vanilla sex versus any other kind of sex. But like for whatever you used to be into, like, you know, things can escalate in levels of kink. And there are people that start out into a kink and then there are people that grow and progress into kinks because whatever they were initially into doesn't work for them anymore because they have over abuse that material. And I think that that's a different thing that I am not qualified to talk about. I could do some research on it if we decide that we want to talk about this more. But like, I think that that is a thing. I know people that have had that experience. And so like they are just continually escalating, continually finding more information to try to stimulate themselves because they are no longer able to be stimulated by normal, whatever was their old normal. Whatever their normal was, that doesn't work for them anymore because they have overused it and abused it and they can't get it up or they can't get wet to it or they can't get off to it anymore. And I think that it's sort of like when you masturbate too much, right? Like say you masturbate too much and you're like, okay, cool, I gotta take a break. I gotta take a couple of days off. And like being able to have that like ability to know when you've done too much and reset yourself and be like, let me chill. Or those people that don't know when to be able to say, oh, I think I've done too much, or I think I've gone too far. I think like I need to detox. I think I'm too far into whatever this is. And my body or my mind or something is telling me, stop, please pump the brakes. And you're not listening, right? You're overindulging in this thing and something, all your warning signs are firing. Like I am overstimulated. Please stop. It's too much. And you're just like, nope, on to the next thing. Nope, adding more. Nope, like what else can I do? You know, like anything, like any addiction. So I think that, yeah, I think that I can't remember all my points, but yeah, so I think it's really interesting to me to be in this world and like figure out like how the hell anyone is supposed to please anyone. Cause I'm like, I don't know if you are indulging in this extreme level of like, just like this smorgasbord of like bodies and entertainment and fantasies and people, a nonstop, like, I don't know what, you know, like, and I don't have any insecurities, like, when I'm dealing with somebody where I'm, like, thinking that I'm not enough or, like, that they're going to be into anyone else, but, like, just logically putting aside emotions or insecurities, like, my rational brain is just like, what do you need me for? You are, when you're not talking to me, you're consuming an endless amount of porn, or you're playing video games, or you're hanging out with your boys. Like, that's kind of how I think about, like, boys, like how they live their life. And that might be really offensive, and I'm really sorry. But, like, that's all they ever talk about doing, so that's all I know. And this is even, like, with my guy friends, this is what they tell me they do with their time. So if that's not true for you, you can leave a comment, and we can discuss, and you can give me a wider array of activities. But, like, yeah, so I'm just like, so what are we gonna do? Like, we're gonna have sex, and then you're gonna want me to, like, you're gonna try to convince me to cook for you, which is, you know, probably not gonna happen. Like, what do you need me for? Like, I don't know. So, like, I'm kind of glad that I'm not really into dating and I'm taking a break, but, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I do start dating again, because I don't even understand how to date boys, and I don't understand how to help my community. That was my other point. Like, so I feel like my community has, like, gone from this shift of, like, being super prudish, right? Because, like, I grew up Southern Baptist, so I know, like, we're super repressed sexually, and it's like anything, like, when you have that rebellion from being super repressed to, like, going full hog the other direction, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna do everything, you can't tell me what to do. And so we've hit that point, right, where hypersexualization has happened, but we haven't hit the point where you rebalance and you end up somewhere in the middle, right? Where you go from repressed to, like, hypersexualized to, like, okay, cool, like, I got all that out of my system and now I can go somewhere in the middle. And so, like, you have a lot of the men in our community are still super on that wave, and then there's, like, a lot of, there's a lot of women also that are on that wave, but then there's a lot of women who aren't on that wave that are like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And maybe even a lot of men that aren't on that wave, right? And then there's the people who are still all the way to the left, like, living their best life, orgies out the ass, like, pouring out the ass, whatever. And then, like, none of us are having a conversation if we're on the other side of the spectrum about how we find a balance. Like, because I'm not saying come all the way back over to repress. God, no, please. But like, I'm sure there has to be some balance in the middle where it's like, hey, you can't keep being hypersexual and overstimulating yourself. You're going to end up over in addict territory and being a fucking weirdo. Like not the good kind of weirdo. There's lots of good kinds of weirdo, but like overstimulating yourself endlessly until you like are numb and or like self-medicating in weird ways like that are not healthy for you is not, that's not, I don't think that's the goal. And so I'm just like, I don't know, I'm ready to start having the conversation because like between going down these porn blog, like sometimes I'll just go down and I'm like, yo, this is insane. Like there's just like such an insane quantity of material. Like it's so overwhelming. Like, you know, like for me, like I, you know, indulge in porn every now and then, but like I just need like one or two. You go onto a porn blog on Tumblr, it's like endless amounts of material for like days, and then all of them are reblogging each other, and like this one leads to this one leads to this, and I'm just like, and like, you know, this is material that's being reblogged constantly, like hourly, daily, like what? I can't even wrap my mind around just like consuming that much material on a minute, hourly, daily basis. Like I just can't. Like I physically cannot imagine. Like I would be so desensitized. I'm desensitized after half an hour just because I'll just go. Like I just feel like my mind is so inquisitive. I'm just like, this is interesting. Like, and I'm not at all turned on at that point. I'm just inquisitive, right? I'm like, this is interesting. And I'm just like, at what point does he just look like see just look like just like sex just look like sex, like, and you're no longer like, yeah, that's hot. It's just like, okay, well there's another one, well there's another one, well there's another, like I'm just like, yo, this all just looks the same, just a sea of the same. Like I can't even tell the difference anymore. And so I don't know, I'm getting back off track, but yeah, anyway, that was the thing that was on my mind.